On the 4th of May 2016, the 64-metre-long tanker Tamaya 1 washed up on the coast of Liberia after leaving port 3 weeks earlier and over 1,000 kilometres away, and on it there was no one, no crew and no captain. As I write this, investigations are underway to determine what exactly happened, but this is the most recent example of a ghost ship, a mysterious but regular occurrence throughout history. What exactly is a ghost ship? A ghost ship is simply defined as a vessel not in port that has no living crew aboard. Well, that was easy, but there's a multitude of ways they can happen. A ship can undock and drift out of their own volition, the crew could abandon the ship, the crew could be thrown overboard, or the crew could die. Note the living part of the definition, or some other mysterious way that I could list, but ultimately, in the interest of time restraints and the fact that I have other stuff to talk about, and also the fact I can't be bothered, we won't. Now, if you've ever heard the term ghost ship, which is pretty likely, then you've probably heard of arguably the most famous one ever to exist, the Mary Celeste. Oh, where to start with the Mary Celeste and its massive mystery? Oh yeah, I know, the beginning. The Mary Celeste, actually known as the Amazon when it was built in Canada in 1860 and 1861, was a brigantine-class ship that actually had a varied and interesting history before it was abandoned, but maybe another time. The ship set sail in the early afternoon of 7th of November 1872 from Staten Island, New York, intending to travel across the Atlantic into the Mediterranean to the Italian city of Genoa, delivering a cargo of over 202,000 litres of alcohol. Guys, I think I just figured out how they went missing. Anyway, the same route was being travelled by another vessel a week behind, the Dei Gratia, whose captain personally knew of the Mary Celeste and its crew, because that's just a thing that happens when you spend your land life, mostly in harbours, with other sailors. On December the 4th, the Dei Gratia spotted a mystery ship ahead, the Mary Celeste, drifting towards them with no activity visible from the outside. They boarded the ship, which in a horror movie would be the worst possible choice, but in the real world is actually quite a sensible thing to do, and found the Mary Celeste in a weird configuration. A sounding rod used for measuring the depth of water inside the ship was found lying on a deck made from improvised and scrap material. Most of the sails were torn and ripped, with some missing altogether, and the main cargo hatch was fastened shut while the rest lay open. The only lifeboat was missing, and the hold of the ship near the keel had 2 feet of water, as one of the pumps had been disassembled, not broken, just taken apart. Half a year's worth of food and water was left behind, as well as all the captain's belongings. Most importantly, the captain, Benjamin Briggs, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, first mate Albert Richardson, second mate Andrew Gilling, and the 6 other crew members were all gone, and were never, ever seen again. The ship was towed to Gibraltar, and it went on to be used again and eventually be crashed into a coral reef and sunk in Haiti 12 years later as part of insurance fraud, but that's really beside the point. Nobody, even 150 years later, has conclusively proven what happened to the ship and its crew. We know it wasn't pirates, as no significant cargo was missing, and it wouldn't have been mutiny as the crew and captain were close, and the ship was nowhere near land where a mutiny would be expected. It looks like a rogue wave struck the ship, except there's no record of anything like that at the time the Mary Celeste is sailing through. The crew must have abandoned the ship, but the damage to the ship wasn't going to sink it, and they really should have known that. 2 feet of water isn't much when half the pumps are disabled and then left for a week. On the 25th of November, 9 days before it was found abandoned, the last captain's log reports nothing unusual at all. It has all the main elements of a good ghost ship story, and that's likely why it's the most famous one out of many during this era. But I say that like it's a thing that's exclusive to the era of pirates, clippers and galleons, but it's not. In fact, a whole bunch of ghost ships were caused by an event in Asia this decade. Yeah, it's that one. The 2011 Japanese earthquake and tsunami caused huge damage to the eastern coast near Sendai, and the famous footage that we've all seen. If you're going to get technical, these could be classified as ghost ships, even though the river on which they sail is temporary nonetheless. However, there is a more conventional ghost ship caused by this disaster. The Japanese government has estimated over 1.5 million tons of material was washed out into the Pacific, which includes quite a few boats, like this small rowing boat that washed up on the beaches of California in the USA over a year later. It's a ghost ship. Okay, so it is a bit small, so let me just quickly, hold on. There we go. This is the 150-ton fishing vessel Rio Unmaru, washed out to sea by the tsunami and made its way all to Alaska, all while afloat. The Coast Guard spotted it in mid-2012 and it was sunk by the Coast Guard's autocannon so it didn't wash up on the beaches or crash into their stuff. Over a year is a pretty good high score for a ship, especially nowadays in the busy shipping channels crisscrossing the oceans, but I reckon we can find better. I don't know, how about 38 years? Introducing the SS Beichimo, a German then UK vessel that frequently made trips to Canada. In 1931 it became trapped in ice and was abandoned, nothing could be done. Oh boy, you know flashbacks? Well, I think I'm having a flashback to a video I haven't made yet. Anyway, the ship didn't sink and was kept afloat in Hudson Bay after the ice melted, and was frequently seen from the coast until 1968. That's ridiculous. It was built by Imperial Germany before World War I and made it all the way to Apollo 8, with no maintenance for the vast majority of its life. That is some good engineering, but it is German, so I really should have expected that. There are several other stories like the one of Octavius that stayed afloat for decades, almost exactly like messages in bottles. This one, found pretty recently in 2016, is a sailing yacht named Sayo that was abandoned in the Philippines for 7 years, and that was a lie because it wasn't abandoned, but it was a ghost ship. Oh boy, yeah, it's that part of the definition, isn't it? Oh boy. Do you guys want to see him? Okay, here he is. Manfred Bajorat, a 59-year-old experienced sailor, and you thought I was going to show the body, weren't you? Oh, that's disgusting. I would never... Here he is. Okay, that's creepy. It's thought that he died of a heart attack while attempting to radio the mainland, with the radio still there beside him. The dry sea air mummified his body, so at least he died doing what he loved. Oh damn, I'm running out of time. Quickly before I finish, I'll show you my favourite one, the MV Lyubov all over. I'll be quick, we can skip out the Flying Dutchman, it wasn't real anyway. The Lyubov, named after a famous Russian actress, was being towed to a scrapyard in Newfoundland when the tow line snapped and it drifted away. The nearby oil companies towed it out to international waters so that it wouldn't hit any of their oil rigs, and there it drifted 6,000 kilometres all the way across the Atlantic and was sighted off Ireland before disappearing forever. Nice. Okay, I'm done. I've been Zepherus, and that was everything you need to know about ghost ships. I hope you enjoyed. Up next on Everything You Need to Know is... Ooh, the eruption of Vesuvius. That's actually... I could do a lot with this, so tune in for that.